Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to talk about the original Izzet twins, Tibor and Lumia. Now, Tibor and Lumia was an original Ravnica block. I'm telling you what, I played Izzet Gun I played it and played it and played it. Izzet Gun rotated around pretty much three creatures. Tibor and Lumia here was the one. It was the top of the curve. This was the most expensive card in the deck. It's not the most expensive card in this deck, but how it worked was you played a blue spell and something flew. You played a red spell, so the idea was to just keep playing a bunch of spells. And when you did that, I'm trying to place the cards because one of you guys commented about how that drop in there makes that horrible sound. I watched one of the videos and it is annoying as shit, and I do apologize. So I'm going to try to place them instead of drop them. But anyway, we Dragonauts was the curve was great because you on turn 3 you played Twee Dragonauts, and then you just started going off. At the time we had all the rituals, and you could swing with the wee Dragonauts, and you're like, it's a 1-3, and then by the time it actually made contact, it would be doing something dumb like 15 damage. But anyway, the other part of it is, obviously, we've seen this effect before, actually since. Now it's prowess. This is not quite as good, but it can up your storm count a little bit, and there is a limited storm aspect to this deck. The gun in Izzet Gun is Gelectrode. Now, this is a plinker from way back, and I'm telling you what, you can actually finish somebody off with just the Gelectrode plus your spells. Not to mention your wee Dragonaut, or another card that is essentially, this is Gelectrode, but it says each opponent, which is really, really good. Now, let's see what else we got here. Also, the Gutter Snipe is another 2 damage to each opponent. Talrand is going to give you your Drakes. The Blister Coil Weird essentially has prowess, and you get to untap it, so you've got a emergency blocker there, I guess, if you want. The Electromancer. A lot of our spells here are, pretty cheap to begin with, but if you can lop a colorless mana off of them, a lot of them get really, really dumb. Mizzix is probably a card I might actually be looking to take out. I'm not absolutely thrilled with it because it does cost 4, and we're not exactly going to ramp up. I mean, I have 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and that's pretty much where I'm cutting off. But as far as colorless, I have nothing more than 3 colorless, I do believe. Since there is a storm element, I am running the storm elemental, or storm entity. Storm elemental. I like the Willbreaker, simply because it says spell or ability. Now, one thing that you'll notice is obviously missing so far, and it is missing from the deck, is the Basilisk Collar, because giving your general Death Touch, and when you cast a red spell, it deals 1 damage to all non-flyers. Giving it Death Touch either through the Gorgon's Head or the Basilisk Collar, I just don't have either one of those at my fingertips right now. But those are great plans. You can. I'm running, a few creatures, not a lot. We're almost at the end of them, but that's a really good idea too. Is love the Basilisk Collar. It's just I don't have as many as I want. The Spell Height Chimera. this is your late game, essentially. You've probably, I don't want to use the term combo out, but you probably shot somebody down, and then this guy is your backup plan. As well as, you know, the young pyromancer. And the top of the line is Izzet. Oh, by the way, just in case y'all don't know, it's one of the funny little things. That formula down there, I'm not exactly sure which way you're supposed to turn it. It says Izzet is number 1 or something. Let's see if I can't focus this up. Niv is number 1. Yeah. Anyway, whoop. Just kind of a little Izzet joke that they did when they, because not all flavor text is, you know, relevant. I thought it was neat. Now, let's see. I have very few artifacts. Obviously, I'm going to start with the Library of Lang. In the early game, if you get this the early game, you can actually kind of sit there, bide your time. I'm not really doing much. You're not a threat. And mound up the cards in your hand till you get your board position where you want it to be. I'm only running the Signet. I'm not running the Cluestone or the other one, simply because, well, we don't really need a heck of a lot of mana. Runechanter's Pike is another late game card that is phenomenal with the amount of instant sorceries that we have. Late game, you can potentially just put this on your general and just go nuts with it. And our last artifact is the Isochron Scepter. Because, let's face it, most of the deck can be imprinted on the Scepter. Now, let's go for, I guess, since we've done the Scepter, we'll do the cool things to put on the Scepter. First and foremost, obviously we're going to have a counterspell to put on there. Counterspell is amazing. Arcane Denial, also good. It's like the apologetic counterspell. You know, I countered your stuff. Here's some cards. I got some cards too. It'll be okay. High Tide is never bad on the... Now, High Tide, this is probably one of the only 2-color decks I've used High Tide in, because roughly half the mana base is, you know, mountains. So High Tide is not exceptional in this particular deck, but for that one turn, it matters. And if you can High Tide and, you know, reverberate it or whatever, it gets pretty ridiculous. Let's see, what are we doing? Oh yeah, 2-mana instance. Let's go through some card draw. We have Words of Wisdom. Nobody really minds this card. Drawing 2, everybody else draws 1. That's fine. Vision Schemes. Everybody draws 2. Quicken is more a 1-mana draw card spell. Yes, it can let you play a sorcery as an instant. That's fine. Frantic Search. Free cards. Now, granted, you're not putting this, you know, on the stick, but it's an amazing card. And if you can get it costed cheaper through your Goblin guy, then, you know, you actually start making mana off of it. Only other free spell I've got from that cycle is Snap. Brainstorm. Now, Psychotic Fury was another card that we used a bunch of in Izzet Gun, just because all your creatures are both color, or well, most of your creatures in this particular deck. Your general, your shoot, I'm drawing a blank. We just saw them. A lot of multicolor. There are a lot of people that love to play some mill and EDH. I am one of them. Y'all know that. I'm actually working on Ambassador Loquacious now, but it's a 1-mana draw 1. If you win the lottery here, it's an Ancestral Recall, so why not? 1 mana draws you a card. Also makes your whatever unblockable that turn. Obsessive Search. Madness, drawing a card. Madness is going to come in here in a little bit. Then in this deck, it may be one of the only decks you just don't always plan on buying it back for the Whisper. Now, the quick mana, the ritual, or the 2 rituals, and the song. Let's see what we've got else here. Now, we've got damage. I do have some damage. Would not be complete without the lightning bolt. That's where we're going to start with lightning bolt. Electrolyze will trigger both halves of your general, and it draws you a card. But I tried to stay within that 1 to 2 mana. Electrolyze is a pretty expensive spell, Lightning Strike. When you double cost a lightning bolt and people still play it, that's how you know it's pretty broken. Firebolt. I love the option of playing it again. Speaking of playing it again, Flame Jab, because there's going to come a critical mass point where you do not need any more lands. So your Flame Jab you can cast over and over again because it does not exile it. It goes back to the graveyard and you just can keep doing it. It's beautiful. I am running Shock due to the slight storm nature and casting a lot of spells in one turn. Scattershot seems like a good fit. Now, the Fiery Temper is the second Madness card. We've got a few Madness enablers, like the Faithless Looting, Desperate Ravings, Cathartic Reunion also draws cards. Now, Deja Vu is going to go get back something. Eventually, one day, we'll see this in a real set instead of just having the portal ones. Preordain, it's 1 mana. I mean, it draws you a card. Ponder, 1 mana, draws you a card. Kind of fixes. Vandal Blast. Most decks I run Vandal Blast in, it's a 5 mana spell, and this one may be no different, depending on the board state when you draw it. If you've got the 5 mana and you need to blow up the world, if somebody's rocking out with a clock or a whatever, man, go for it. I do feel like that this is Inner Fire here at 4 mana. I'm not... in the times I've played this deck, I haven't actually drawn Inner Fire. So I feel like I'm unsure about it. It could be better. Yes, it could be worse. But if you get it in the early part of the game, there's nothing better to start your epic turn with. But if you draw it late game, when you have 1 or 2 cards, it's horrible. The Probe, might as well play it if we got it, Telling Time. Mental Misstep. Gut Shot. Shattering Pulse. I love Shattering Pulse because it does have the buyback option. It is Shatter strictly better. It is strictly better than Shatter. It does the exact same thing, but you have the option to buy it back. Swerve is going to trigger both halves of your general. The Titan Strength, I like the Scry. I mean, +3/+1 is an instant. You can pump your dudes mid-combat, a lot like the Brute Force. Fact or Fiction may be another one that goes. Just, I don't know. Fact or Fiction, I love the card, but I just don't know that it fits the particular need of this deck. Then we have Mizzix's Mastery. This would be your late game. Once you've done blown through all your instants, you're going to overload it, and you just are probably going to win. Now, the last 3 cards I have are your, God, I hate to use the word typical, storm cards. Grape Shot is going to deal a ton of damage. Empty the Warrens is going to get you a ton of goblins. And Brain Freeze is going to mill a bunch of cards. Now, we're not a mill deck. That's obvious. This may make your visions trigger off better. I don't know. I have actually milled somebody with a Brain Freeze, but it was in a game where somebody else was already focused on milling. So, be that as it were, I can't take full credit for milling their entire 99 card library, or, well, 92, since they started with 7 cards in their hand. Anyway, that's what I got for Tibor and Lumia, the Izzet Gun twins. I don't even know if they were twins, to be honest with you, but I do appreciate you watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.